People always say that I'm what is it people say that I'm like always doing side quests. I'm like a character in a video game that is just always doing side quests. I don't know what my main quest is. I'm doing like gardening. I posted a Instagram story where I was on Joel's ride on lawnmower and it was like I was living in Stardew Valley. I'll just try anything out.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
All right, we have on the show today somebody that's heavily associated with pink, and it's not Doc. I say that because Doc's background was like really pink, and this here is LDShadowLady on the Imp and Skizz podcast. Thank you. Thank you for coming here and being on our show. We are really looking forward to diving in to who you are.
Thank you so much for having. This is such an honor. I'm actually a huge fan of the podcast. I've seen so many episodes. I've already fangirled out before we started this. So yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure.
I want to talk about. I got to do it. Like before we got started, Lizzie's like, I said, we're working on new technology, and Lizzie's like, you talk about the in-ear? Yeah, I was watching when you guys were discussing that, and then she was like, I'm not trying to fangirl right now, and I'm like, no, keep going.
Inside scoop. Yeah, as I can see, we pulled the trigger. So
yeah, I like it. But all right.
Yeah, you got so much technology. You guys are definitely very cutting edge for podcasts.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
I mean, we love having guests on, you know, and we got this giant TV, so it really does feel like you're right in the room with us, and you know, you're able to see us, we're able to see you, which leads to, you know, the conversations being a little smoother. So yeah, we're proud of our setup. Thank you so much for
it looks great.
for that compliment. But
I like seeing it from this angle. Like I feel like I'm actually seeing it from the screen, which is not the POV that the audience usually gets. Like usually you're on the other side.
Yeah.
It's really different from over here, guys. You in the audience, if only you could see it from here one day.
One day.
That's awesome.
All right, so we got to do the thing. We got to do the thing where we assume, even though most of our, I'm sure, listeners and viewers, they know who you are, but we're going to do that just in case. So would you please introduce yourself and tell everybody what it is that you do?
Yeah, hi. I'm LDShadowLady, also known as Lizzie. I've been making Minecraft YouTube videos for, gosh, what year is it now? Over 10 years. I'd say like 12, 13 years. Yeah, I'm just myself. I'm sort of a one-woman show. I do all of the recording and editing. If I can try to do it myself, I get a lot of joy out of that. I'm very much a DIY kind of person. So the whole thing is just me messing around with my friends. I don't even know what to say. How do you even describe yourself?
Well,
I've just always been on Minecraft.
I mean, it's obviously working, right? Here you are at 7.2 million subscribers on your main channel. And I got to tell you, I had 3.4 billion views on your channel. Now we're going to pump the brakes because I want to talk to you a little bit about some math I did.
It's mind blowing.
That's very fascinating. Okay. If somebody were to start a channel today and they instantly started getting views, we're just going to hypothetical, and they were getting a view every second, which by the way, when you start a channel, that doesn't happen, but just go down this road with me. Every second they're getting a view. How long it would take them to get your amount of views would be 107.8 years. It would take over a century.
A view a second. If they were getting one view a second, it would take that long
over
to
107
get to 3.4 billion.
That's really hard to comprehend.
Yes. The reason it is because people don't appreciate the difference between a million and a billion. If you were to count, if you just sat here on this couch and wanted to count to a million, I think it takes like 11 and a half days. But if you wanted to count to a billion, it takes 31 and a half years to do that. That's the difference between a million and a billion. And you have 3.4 billion views. That's B. Bro, look how shocked she is. Like, this is amazing. So I pointed that out because, you know, you were mentioning that, you know, it's kind of a one-person show and you like to do your own thing. And I think that's very admirable. But to now compound that with how successful you've been, there's something to digest there. You've got to feel extremely accomplished.
To be honest, I haven't really looked at the data like you clearly have. I think what my one-woman show is missing is a data guy. So I didn't even know. I didn't even know that there was that many views on my channel. But yeah, I love to see the consequences of what I've built, and you know, all the comments coming in is crazy to me, and that feels really accomplishing.
Yeah.
Or
That's
really
awesome.
rewarding, yeah.
So you mentioned comments. At a channel your size, you must get a lot of comments on your videos. How much time do you spend going through those comments? And if you gave a percentage
that
to
face.
how many you read,
It's too much. It's too much time. It's probably
Really?
an embarrassing amount of time. Yeah, no, I love reading the comments. I don't really reply to a lot of the comments because sometimes I just don't have anything that I think is interesting to reply. So I just do a lot of reading. I love getting a beat on the pulse of what people are thinking, what they loved, what they didn't love, what they think I should do next is another really cool thing that I love reading. I am all over the internet reading comments on like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, obviously, on my videos, on other people's videos that I appear in. I just love it. I love reading the comments. It's so fun.
I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
No.
Let's go. We're very
I'm
much
not ashamed
similar.
to admit it either. I feel like loads of people do this, but nobody will tell you. They're all really ashamed to say that they read all the comments.
Yeah. Spends a lot of time, sometimes arguably too much,
I find it admirable when you guys read all your comments. I am getting better. I read like less than half of mine, and I get less than a tenth of what you guys get, and I still read less than half. And but I'm getting better. I'm working on it because I do want, and I'm realizing that if I just peruse through them, I don't feel super compelled to answer them the way you were saying. I like to just read them and digest them. So I'm working on it, but whatever.
Yeah, no, like Lizzie said, I mean, it's kind of nice to see what hit and what didn't. That's what I do. I try to read through because you're always going to get that. I hated it. I love it. I hated it. I love it. But if you read enough, you can kind of get the general gist of the vibe, right? Like, oh, okay, overall, most people did like when I did this thing differently than I do it before or whatever. So maybe that's something I go further into next episode or like coming up. Like people have great ideas. Like we're on our own, right? Like we're sitting behind our computer all on our own. We have our one brain, but like when you read the comment section, all of a sudden you get access to so many more brains that come up with better ideas than we could have ever come up with. So that's kind of why I like reading comments, and it feels like maybe you're in the same boat.
It feels like the community is like a hive mind because my community especially, I think, thinks a little bit like I do. Or maybe I just think like them. We're all a hive mind and each of us has parts of an idea and I just have to be the one to put them all together and then spew it out into a video, I think.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your videos. So you started off your channel, you were doing Call of Duty videos to begin with.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
And I think was that your intent? I think you wanted did you want it to be a Call of Duty channel specifically?
Yeah, so I started my channel because there were some other Call of Duty channels at the time. There was a girls clan called Design. I don't know if you remember the time of Call of Duty clans, but clans were everything. That was like the popular kids, and that was who you wanted to play with. That was who you wanted to watch. And I discovered these girls in this clan, and I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to hit all the kind of clips that they were hitting. They were hitting some crazy trick shots, and they had such insane gameplay that was really impressive to watch. I really desperately wanted to be with, friends with them, and that was why I started my channel, was to give myself a shot at showing them what I can do. Turns out I couldn't do that. I was not that great at Call of Duty, but I did find my calling in just being myself, which is not great. And I to this day, like, I'm still not good at Minecraft or most of the games I try, but I still have a lot of fun. And I think that I still have a lot to offer in terms of entertainment within the game, even though I'm not great at it. So yeah, that was how I started with Call of Duty. And I haven't played Call of Duty in about 10 years now, though. So it's kind of sad.
Oh, wow. So when you were creating that channel, is that part of how your name got created? I was just trying to envision the shadow lady part, like you're hiding in the shadows, ready to strike at any moment.
Good question.
Is that where that came from, or am I completely off base?
It's kind of like that. It obviously was meant to sound kind of cool. All the names back then were like XX Shadows, 360 no scope kind of thing. But I did take my name inspiration from a YouTuber that I loved watching. She was called ND Titan Lady. And I just took the same sort of formula and switched it around a little bit to make it sort of more unique to me, obviously. So LD it was my initials. Lizzie, D. And then, yeah, Shadow was just kind of like the cool word in the Call of Duty scene at the time. Everybody was named Shadow, Shadow something. So yeah, I just took that, and I really wanted people to know that I was a woman, not a little boy who was prepubescent and whose voice hadn't dropped yet, because that was the assumption anytime I joined a lobby, anytime I used the mic. Yeah, they would think I was a little boy and that it's past my bedtime. So I was trying to make sure, so the lady was like tacked on there. That was important to me.
Nice. That makes
Dude,
sense.
that's funny. So I cannot imagine you with any other hair other than pink. I couldn't even possibly imagine. You've definitely committed. I personally hope it never changes, but is this are you pink for the rest of your life?
Honestly, maybe. I did try going back to brown. That's my original color. Like, it's the color of my roots. So there's some, hint of natural color there. But I went back to brown and I just didn't look like me anymore. It was a different person. It wasn't me. So I've had pink hair for 15 years maybe now. And it just feels right. It feels like part of my personality. And to me, it doesn't even feel like that outlandish of a color anymore. It used to be, if you had pink hair, people would stare at you or at least kind of look at you a bit funny and, assume you're a certain type of person. But now I do feel like it's a bit more fashionable. I was definitely doing it when it wasn't fashionable, though. So I'm not going to change, though.
No, yeah,
it will stay. It will stay for as long until maybe my YouTube channel. I'm like completely done with it, and then I want to go incognito. I'm hoping that if I go back to my original color, that nobody will recognize me unless they're like really a dedicated fan and they recognize my eyes or something.
That is a good strategy right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna
I probably shouldn't have told my secret plan. Now everyone's gonna be
looking for a darker hair.
They're gonna know where to find me.
See, I have a similar plan. I'm just gonna go ahead and go bald when I'm done with you.
There you go.
So I'm on my way.
Perfect. So you mentioned you started Minecraft 10, maybe 12 years ago. Do you remember how you discovered Minecraft by chance?
Oh, yeah. So there was a YouTube channel. A lot of my life is sort of spearheaded by things happening on YouTube, you might notice. A lot of the decisions I make. So there was a YouTube channel called ZX No Regrets, XZ or something like that. And he was playing Minecraft, a really, really early version of Minecraft where you couldn't run anywhere. There was no hunger bar. I can't remember which version it was exactly, but super early on in the game. And it was just mesmerizing watching this game that you could just do anything. And there was no goal. There was nobody telling you, hey, here's a quest, do this. He was just running around setting his own goals for the day. And I just thought that was so freeing and I really wanted to try it. So I downloaded the game immediately and I was hooked. I was hooked right from the very beginning. I didn't need any convincing.
So that's what it does. That's what this game does. It pulls you in. You also did.
Oh yeah.
You did a lot of different modded series. You seem to be really into to doing those. Is that something that people were recommending to you, or you were going out and seeking, or something that you gravitate towards, just bringing Minecraft under a different lens?
I don't actually remember how I was sort of exposed to the modding community of Minecraft. I think maybe just from starting out and realizing that you could have texture packs that changed the look of the game. And then from there, probably discovered mods that slightly tweak the game. And I've just always loved mods because I just love to see, Minecraft is pretty slow with the updates. So I love to see what the community has to offer. And sometimes they take it in some really different directions and it basically creates an entirely new game. Like Tekkit and Hexit were really not Minecraft whatsoever. That was a whole different game at that point. And then I tried making my own mods at one point, actually, but they were very much LDShadowLady coded. So they were sort of like Disney and like pets and things like that.
I like that. So you did the Life series with us. You remember that? And that was on.
Oh, yeah.
That was, I keep forgetting which.
I think you joined second season for Last Life?
Yeah. Which one was that called? Oh, yeah, Last Life. With the boogeyman or the bogeyman.
Yes. I always love the way you said that.
the bogeyman. Yeah.
Oh, which one is it? Is it boogeyman or bogeyman? I don't even know which one's right anymore.
We typically say boogie.
We say boogeyman.
But after hearing you say...
Neither of
Bogey. I like that better. I like bogey.
Okay.
Yeah, the
So let's
bogey.
stick with bogey because I like the way that sounds.
Yeah, it was the
I
bogey
don't want
man.
you to change, okay?
Yeah.
Say it the way you say it because I love it.
So in my interaction with you on the show was kind of limited, but it was very, very pleasant. And you and I had a fun little back and forth where you kept trying to lure me back to your place, and I'm like, you're gonna kill me. That's obviously what you're doing. You're gonna kill me. And you were like the sweetest, most non-threatening person on the server. And at one point I ran into one of her berry bushes and I said, ow. And she's like, did my berry bush get you? I said, yeah. She goes, yes. Like that's all it was, like a slight berry bush prick. And I was able to have this little bit of interaction with you. And what I found interesting about it was doing a collab with you on that show. It was like we were hanging out. To the point to where you're like, you're like, let me make a bunk bed. And you started like making it. And it was like so funny because what had happened was you had made a bunch of bunk beds for people to come to your party. Nobody showed up, which by the way, this is one of the funniest things in the world is that she made this big old party scene. Only Joel was there and he was laying in the bed and Lizzie comes in like ready for like surprise. And it's just Joel. He's like, sorry, babe, nobody's here. And it was just so funny. But I do remember like having a different like energy with you when we were hanging out because it was like we were just hanging out. And you do a lot of like solo type stuff, but you seem to mix right in. Did you feel comfortable with this large crowd and just finding ways to improvise right there on the spot?
Yeah, I love playing Minecraft with friends, and luckily the good thing about the Life squad is that everybody's super friendly. It's really easy to get. I just think that I'm playing with friends, even though it is most people that I've never really worked with before. It doesn't feel like we clock in for a shift at the Life factory and we just sit there and do our work. There's the chat beforehand, there's chatting in the breaks, and you can really suss out everybody's vibe pretty easily, and everybody's great. It's so easy to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Life as well is that our mics are on in game. So you do run into people sort of naturally having conversations. It very much feels like real life if you were walking around and if you heard some people that were having a very private discussion nearby, you've got options for how you can react to that. You could go and interact with them if you felt it was your place, but you could also equally give them some space, maybe spy on them if you wanted to. There's just so many options that it actually, maybe this is sad, but like it feels like socializing in real life. So it doesn't feel difficult at all. I think the setup we've got really lends itself well to be able to create these really genuine social interactions in a huge group setting.
Yeah.
I agree. We've talked a lot about how with the Life series, it does force you to kind of dip into improvisation as a skill, or is that something that you feel like you have by nature, the ability to improvise on the spot, or are you a little bit more calculated in what you do and your stories that you tell and things like that?
I think that's a good question. Maybe a little bit of both. I don't pre-plan a lot because you can never know exactly what's going to happen, especially in the Life series, but even in any series, even series that we have a plan going in, sometimes something just happens that throws the plan right out the window. And I think it's better to be ready for that and to be able to react to that and make something good out of what does happen, rather than have to be like, everybody scratch that didn't happen, we're resetting, that went wrong. I love to just go with the flow, and I really love the improvisation. I think it can get just really silly, and that's definitely my brand of humor, is just being silly and over the top. So I find that it's easier to improv sometimes than it is to act out.
I agree.
A sort of list.
I agree. I absolutely agree with
I'm
that.
a terrible actor, so people would see right through it. I can't believe we still get accused of having scripts for the Life series because they've seen how bad of an actor I am, and they know there's no way. There's no way. But I want to. You said a word there. You said your brand. I want to go back in time a little bit, because when you first started doing Minecraft videos, it was of the time when people would just hit record and whatever happened in the next 30 minutes was their video. You didn't exactly buy into that meta at the time, it felt like. You jumped straight into making sure you had cuts, maybe shorter videos even than was typical on the platform at the time. Was that decision something that just was like, you wanting to do something different than what was out there, or did you just feel like your product was going to be better, or what drove you to doing that method of editing and style of Minecraft videos when everyone else was just hitting record and playing?
I think I definitely wanted to contribute something a little bit different from what was already out there. So obviously I started in 2012 or 2011, and a lot of, yeah, like you said, a lot of what was out there was just full unedited footage. And a lot of the other sort of content on YouTube that I would watch, which wasn't gaming, it wasn't Minecraft, that would all be edited. So it would be like comedy skits or even like short vlog bits or silly to camera pieces that people used to do back then. And they were way more edited, way more fast paced. You know, people would cut out the silences. They'd strategically use music or text on the screen to really like make a joke hit and have impact. And I just really admired that style of editing, and I've always enjoyed editing. So I wanted to bring that into my other interest, which was Minecraft, and create something that maybe not a lot of people were doing at the time. The only person that's ever seen the unedited footage of my videos is me. And let me tell you, nobody wants to see that. People keep asking for it, and I'm telling you right now, it's not good. Like, the editing makes my videos. I would be nothing without it. I'm a rambler. I get really easily distracted. I use the editing, and I go in with a little bit of a plan beforehand of what I'm going to broadly do. But I use the editing, and I edit out so much to give a more linear sort of progression through things. Because sometimes, you know, when you're playing the game, not everything goes to plan. You might die doing something very simple that it wasn't very interesting. So you could just edit that out using movie magic. That never happened. Unless it's interesting to the story, I probably wouldn't leave that kind of stuff in. And that's how I prefer my videos to be.
If you had to put a number on it, how much of your footage that gets recorded do you cut out versus what ends up in the video, percentage-wise?
Well, I record most things, because recently I've been doing a lot of like hardcore or things where basically if you die, it's game over. So I don't want to die by accident and not be recording. So I record most things I do in game for hours and hours. Probably have 10 hours of footage, maybe even like 15 hours of footage. So most of it is just me mining, strip mining or something. And then that makes a 15-minute video. So I can't do the maths on what percentage of Skizz, you seem good at maths. Give us the maths there.
I had to use a calculator, so don't be looking at me.
It's very small percent, it sounds like. How do you manage? Okay, so at the end of the day, you have all that 15 hours of footage. How do you manage knowing where to find those moments without going through and rewatching all 15 hours? Do you have some sort of method that you use to keep track of, oh, that was a good moment at this timestamp, or
1 in 60?
1 in 60.
Yeah, I did it. For every 60 minutes, you get 1 minute.
He didn't hear a word I just said. He did not hear a word I just said.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But because I find that too.
That's impressive, though.
I'm probably wrong, too.
I find that too, to where I am in the same space now where I'm just recording everything, and then just in case, because I get really worried I'm going to miss a moment. And so I'll get done with a recording thing, and it'll have a 3-hour file, and I'm like, oh, I don't know where the good parts were, and I don't want to watch all 3 hours again to find out. So I'm curious how you do it. Maybe there's something I can learn from you here.
So one thing I do if I'm being very organized is I'll make notes as I'm recording. So I do this especially with live. You know, we have a little downtime when everybody walks away and nobody's talking to you for like 5 minutes, and you're just, I don't know, smelting. So if I find a minute like that mid-recording, I have Google Doc open, and I'm just typing in a bullet point list of like, went down to the mine, found my diamonds, lost my diamonds, traded with Scar betrayed me. So like, those are the key points that I know are going to be like plot points in the video that I really want to include. And then sometimes, to be honest though, I'll get to the edit, and three or four of them can be cut because they don't really impact the story as a whole or something. But yeah, the notes is one thing. The other thing is, and Joel will tell you this, I have a great memory. So I just remember conversations word for word so well that it probably really annoys Joel. But I will remember sort of like exactly what was said, and I'll remember where it was said. So I'll know when I'm skimming through the footage what the cave kind of looked like when I said this. And I just know where to look for that. I don't have like a photographic memory or anything. You guys are kind of looking at me like I'm some kind of
Well, no, I disagree, because there was a moment in the Life series where Skizz told you the name of his dog, and the name of his dog is very, very long, multiple names, and somehow you recited it.
Like I told,
I got some of it.
You got it almost 100% correct, and it's a very long, ridiculously ambiguous name. And when you did it, I'm all, what in the world? I think you left out one word, and I was like, dude,
yeah, definitely messed it up. But
but it was so overwhelmingly close for somebody that had heard that name once that I was like,
I hear it
what
every day, and I still can't get it right.
Yeah.
So like that's super impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm a big on conversation, and I just commit that to memory. I don't want to. Sometimes it's not a choice. I just when I think about, oh, there's that scene where somebody said this, and then my memory of being in the cave just kind of comes back to me. I'm like very imaginative. So I imagine the cave, and I'm like, oh, he just placed the torch there. So I know where this was. I don't know.
Jeez.
But that makes it a lot easier to edit. I think that might be a secret power that I didn't know I had until this very moment. But maybe that's my life hack, is to just,
that's amazing.
Just be super powered.
So I'll say, so another thing you do in your editing that I found very artistic is you have that little, that character, the Lizzie character that comes up from the bottom, and it's almost like the it's kind of the visual representation of your narration of that moment, right? You'll narrate something, that character is there. Yeah. And then there's the activity in the back, and it's very, very clever. And I found myself sort of unknowingly taking a page out of your book with my own editing, is that I am now adding a little bit of narration, but I do it in a different fashion. My fashion is when I need to build up a scene that I wasn't planning on, because I'm editing while I'm filming. And what I mean by that is that whatever I'm doing, I know what the end state's going to look like and how I'm going to edit this, right? But sometimes things happen and I wasn't planning on it, and now I need to get into it. And since I didn't lead up to it, I will have the video in black and white as I narrate over what's about to happen, and then it blends into color and narration goes away and real Skizz comes out. And I'm like, yeah, that's not lost on me. I got that from Lizzie. Like the power of narration. Yeah. And I didn't, because first thing I did with you was the live series, and I would watch your videos and the narration would happen. I'm like, it's brilliant. It's right there in front of me. Like, yes, I'm stealing this. I'm going to do this. This is a very good idea. I just don't have my character come up, but so thank you for that. It's
I don't think
she's like, no, you got to stop doing that. I copywrote that. Like,
no, please take it, make it your own. Absolutely. I don't think I came up with that either. I think it's sort of a cinematic concept that I probably just tweaked a little to make work in Minecraft. But yeah, it's super useful. Like you said, in the live series, lots of unpredictable things happen, and you haven't always set up for the situation in your sort of commentary before getting to it, and you come to the edit and you're like, this doesn't make sense. This comes out of nowhere. So it's a really useful tool to be able to sort of get the audience into the same sort of path that you're on, and they, because it's nice when they understand what the stakes are, which you can't always get across in the edit. If somebody discussed something in the break and something's going to happen, but you haven't had a chance to cover it yet. I think, I love the editing. And I'll tell you a little secret also about live. Maybe I shouldn't. Oh, no, I will say.
Do it.
There have been times, because, I record everybody's audio on its own track using the voice chat mod.
Oh.
And sometimes I will splice out people's reactions here and there, because, people talk over each other all the time.
Yep.
And I just clean that up. Sometimes I have I've completely cut out whatever I said, and I go in the edit afterwards and I make myself say something completely different.
Yep.
And I'm just praying that nobody ever notices it. And I've never seen anybody notice it ever, but I'm saying it now so that maybe somebody will go and find it. I don't know, but there have been instances where I've engineered situations in editing. Nothing gratuitous, nothing too over the top, but just to sort of, tell the story a bit better, I think, you know?
I'm still in that. I'm still in that because every time I walk away from a conversation in the life series, 2 minutes later, I think, I should have said this. And it's like, oh man, I blew it. From now on, I'm just going to go back and put it in as if I said it.
That's what I do.
Yes, I'll do things. I will adjust volumes and stuff to like, so Impulse's like natural laugh is a fantastic laugh. And there's been times in the past to where if I made him laugh at something, I will take down all the volumes and I'll bring yours up because well, hold on. I don't want to blow up your stupid head, but also sometimes you're also proximity wise kind of far away. So it was quiet. And so I'm like, and so I'll try to remaster that and bring that back up just to bring that. So I do something similar to where I take the natural moments and I try to squeeze all the juice out of them that I can get. As far as rewriting the story, I don't know if I've done that. My ears are perked up here, though. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go overboard. You know what I mean? I'm going to end up putting your words together, and it's not going to work. It's going to be like your voice going, Skizz is the best.
No, you're going to use AI. You're going to use AI to like recreate me saying something I didn't say. I know it, and it's going to be perfect.
I think,
you can believe it.
Usually I've only used it if I've sort of fumbled over my words and I've not delivered what I wanted to in the right way. I've not yet used it to completely paint somebody's character entirely different from how they actually are. But, you know, the power is there. The power of editing. It's amazing what you can do with editing if you are nefarious enough. So people on the live series better watch out because I could be making a villain edit of anybody.
Now I'm sweating. I'm gonna.
No, you'll never invite me back. I'm never coming back.
Next season, I'm gonna see Lizzie across the way and just turn around and walk away. Like, I don't want this.
Don't give her any information.
So you mentioned that you do all your editing and stuff, and typically, you know, once you see YouTubers get to a certain size, they will, quote unquote, outsource that. But you said you really enjoy the process even after a decade of doing it. Can you tell me what it is about the process that really keeps your heart into that?
I just love how it's kind of, well, you're really working from scratch, right? Like there's nothing. When you start out the video, there's maybe an idea, possibly not even an idea. You just log in. And I just love being able to take recordings and music and sound effects and just create something that didn't exist before. And I think that editing is just such an interesting concept that you can take something and improve it tenfold at least with editing. And like the finished product is so funny and people can interact with it in so many different ways. Like I love when people take inspiration from my editing as well. Like the fact that you said that, Skizz, is my ego, it won't fit in my room anymore. So yeah, I love things like that. I've always been a fan of like trying things out. I'm very much a trier. Like I said, I tried to make mods. You know, people were making mods. I thought that looked cool. I want to try that. It's quite hard, so I didn't really stick with it. But editing is one of the things where I saw people were doing it and I thought, that looks fun. I want to try that. And it's really stuck. And I don't know what it is about editing. I think it's because every time you're editing something different, you know, and if I get bored of editing the same thing, I'll just stop for a while. I've been very lucky that my audience has been very receptive to me taking breaks. If I don't feel like I have anything to produce at the moment, I can take a break for a few months until I come back, and then I think it's the breaks. I think it's taking breaks that keeps me very invested in what I'm doing and enjoying what I'm doing, actually.
No, I'm with you there. I've pushed through burnout before and found at the end of it that just made me make content that wasn't to my quality standards, right, and to my viewers' standards as well. So it's quite obvious, I think, when a content creator's heart is not in the game per se. So I learned my lesson then. I think that's really smart of you. We obviously stress out being YouTubers that YouTube's gonna forget our channel, right? Our viewers will leave us, and YouTube will stop pushing our videos if we take these breaks. But I think recently we've found that's not quite the case. You've had successful breaks, it sounds like. I mean, obviously. And so I think that's good advice now for the people that may still feel that stigma that they need to just constantly produce. I mean, back when we first started, it was like almost not required, but it was like you better have a video every day was like the thing for YouTubers.
Yeah.
And no longer is it like that. It's like, no, just create something you're proud of and that you know your viewers are going to enjoy, and you'll be fine, which is a very nice change from that mantra from back then, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you weren't uploading constantly back then, it did feel like you weren't going to go anywhere. But now I think I have a lot of confidence in myself, whether it's misplaced or not, I don't know. That if I was to take a break, and yeah, maybe I did lose some of my audience, they want to go off and watch other channels, that's fine. You know, they deserve to be entertained while I'm away as well. I don't mind that. I just have confidence in myself that when I come back, it's something that I'm going to be passionate about. I know I'm going to give it 100% because I'm not burnt out, because I'm really passionate about what I'm doing and I'm able to give it 100%. That it's going to be the best I can offer. And if they're going to like it, then they're going to like it. If not, then that's fine. They can go watch somebody else. I don't know. I think I'm just quite, I don't want to say indifferent. Like, obviously I wouldn't be upset if I lost a bunch of my audience because they weren't interested in watching my videos anymore, because that's the natural way of YouTube. Is people move on, new people come in, people come back. It's kind of like a cycle of life.
Yeah, and it's not something you can control, so there's no reason to stress over it.
Well,
right?
you're healthy, Lizzie.
Yeah,
that's healthy. like
I try to be. I try.
Yeah, the alternative to that is unthinkable. To be constantly moved by people migrating elsewhere. That's no good. But and me personally, like if I'm not creating for a while, I start to get the shakes. You know what I mean? Like if I go on vacation, like I get the most inspiration when I'm on vacation and I cannot be creating, right? So I remember I was on a cruise a couple years ago, and I was just out on the deck looking at the ocean water, and all these ideas started flooding in because I was officially recharged. And the fact that I couldn't get right to work just started to eat at me. And I just wanted to, and I think when you talk about you enjoying the editing process, because not everybody enjoys that. I do enjoy it. I'm like you. I really enjoy it. And I think it's because ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to have the ability to draw or to paint, and I never could. I'm so bad at it. So very bad at it. I'm so bad. But when I edit, that is my canvas. That is my painting. That is me like using my skill set to bring people on a journey. I can define the cadence. I can define the peaks and valleys, and I can set up the tension and release. I can do that while editing. And it feels like an actual skill set I'm allowed to say that I'm proud of. And I'm seeing the same thing in you. And, you know, when you say that you're DIY, it's clearly because you prefer to be. Because you prefer to be in there. So it's nice to see. Not everybody likes that. Not everybody likes the editing. I like it.
It begs the question: were you self-taught when it came to editing, or was this something you went to school for, or how did you learn? Because I think a lot of people, they don't understand going into, you know, or wanting to be a content creator, that you're going to need a lot more skill sets than playing a video game, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't realize. And I do now know, but at the time, I didn't realize that editing was a skill that you had to learn. I've just always been editing. I'm not an iPad kid because I'm a bit too old for that. But I did grow up from the age of like 8 with Windows Movie Maker, and I would just be making movies, home movies. I'd cut them all together. I'd be putting title screens on. I was just copying what I saw in movies and on TV. And it never really felt like I was learning or developing some kind of a skill. It was just, I was doing it because it was fun and it was what I wanted to do at the age of like 8 or 10 or something. So yeah, I don't think I ever purposefully taught myself or learned, but I have picked up a few tricks. And if there's something I don't know how to do, I'll just go to YouTube, because there's always a tutorial on YouTube. Somebody has figured it out.
Yep.
And they know exactly what they're doing. And they're more than happy to impart their wisdom upon me, and I will accept it willingly.
That's where I'm with you. We're all self-taught, and that's the same thing. YouTube, go to YouTube. That is,
yeah, there's so much there. Yeah. It's great, guys. You should all be on YouTube.
No, I did a couple of years ago. I'm not going to bore you guys too much with this, but I was a speaker at something called the ITTLC. It was an IT Technical Leadership Conference, and I was chosen to speak at it. And what I was talking about was something I had created, and I used the YouTube parable. As YouTube started as, it was supposed to be like a grounds for entertainment, and it evolved into entertainment and education. And then it became its contribution to education became so profound that a lot of different other avenues of education started to just disappear. And as an example, when I was a young kid and I would work on my cars were always garbage. I would buy these books called Chilton's books. And it was just, you'd have to look up the instructions on how to replace the alternator, whatever. As soon as YouTube started having videos of people creating mechanic type videos, those books, I can't imagine they ever sold another one because they were garbage. And there was not only a video of what to do, but there were 100 of them, and it was 100 people competing on who could do the video best. You know, and so I'm with you. It became such a platform for education that's where I learned all my Adobe and all my editing skills.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if I should take more time, you know, to hone those skills even further. You know, we spend so much time just doing that I feel like there's not enough time to kind of like breathe and learn more new things.
True.
Do you feel that way? Do you stay pretty busy with all the creation portion of it that you don't have that time to maybe soak in another hobby or maybe take the time to learn new traits and things like that?
No, I'm actually the complete opposite. People always say that I'm what is it people say that I'm like always doing side quests. I'm like a character in a video game that is just always doing side quests. I don't know what my main quest is. I'm doing like gardening. I posted a Instagram story where I was on Joel's ride on lawnmower, and it was like I was living in Stardew Valley. I'll just try anything out. I went to go try be a teacher for a while. I was training for that. That didn't go well because obviously I'm a YouTuber. That was going to end in disaster either way. But yeah, I've tried out so many different things, and I pick up a lot of hobbies, do them for a while, and then I'm not really good at committing to them. That is my flaw. But I love trying things. I've definitely not been hindered in terms of trying new things. But I think committing to them is hard when, obviously, like YouTube, you feel like you should be at your desk all the time playing Minecraft, figuring out, you know, the next build or figuring out the next this. So it is hard to tear yourself away, I think, from the Minecraft creation process. But I take a lot of time to do other things.
Does that trait play into the way you do Minecraft also? Because Minecraft, you can do so many different things, right? So do you find yourself trying out different ways of playing this sandbox game that can be played in a million different ways?
I think so, yeah. I think I really pride myself on, if I have to do the same thing over and over again, I always try and put a different spin on it each time. So, you know, when you start a new SMP, there is sort of quite a linear progression at the start. You know, you start, you gear up, and but if you were to do the exact same thing every single SMP, it would probably get quite repetitive, and I get very bored easily personally, so I couldn't do that. So I always kind of look for a different angle or a different spin to, I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe I'll give myself like an additional challenge. For example, in one of the recent series we did, instead of gearing up in the normal way, I thought it would be really fun in episode 1, I think, to gear up by going to the ancient city and just getting all my stuff from there. You know, I'm completely armorless. I had nothing else, but I'm going to the ancient city to gear up. Now, what I didn't know at the time is that the only armor you can get there is pants. So I just found a load of pants, and it actually was not a very good idea, and it went disastrously wrong, like most things I do. But it was a different approach, and I really love taking a different approach rather than potentially the correct approach, which is a bit overdone. Who wants to do, you know, who wants to get armor the normal way when you could do it completely wrong, like me?
I'm just laughing because
the consequences.
I'm immediately thinking the title of that episode was "That Idea Was Pants."
Yeah.
That's a good one. I didn't even say that. I should have said that.
That's so good. So we had a run-in outside of the Life series when Hermitcraft and the Empire's crew did a crossover. Do you remember that day when Hermitcraft came through the portal and got teleported randomly in the Empire's world?
I think so. I think you were the first. You arrived in my Empire first, yeah. I do remember that day.
Yeah, it was different because like Empires was more at the time exploring this idea of doing lore. So you had this lore, like all your all your animals were on 2 legs, standing straight up. Now I remember that day for a different reason. I was really, really sick that day. Like
No.
really sick. Like I should have been in bed, not
Oh,
recording, but there
no.
was no way I was going to miss this. And so in that clip where I run into you in your village with your strange animals, like you can just hear it in my voice. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Lizzie for the first time like ever. And I sound terrible. Like I was like,
sucks.
I didn't notice that at all.
oh, you're gonna have to go back and if you have that clip
You
at
must
all.
have felt like you were having a fever dream, though.
I think that was those were my exact words. I actually think
Yeah.
I said that to you. Like, I feel like I'm in a fever dream. What is happening here? And it was, one, there was the lore that we as Hermitcraft hadn't delved that far into. And then plus the fact that I was probably very medicated just to be there that day. So like I remember that situation. I was like, oh man, this is how this scene gets introduced with me feeling this way. But you were great, and anyway, I want to get into that lore piece of it. Was that something that you really enjoyed with the Empires and the way the Empires season was going, that it was getting more lore based? Was that just another example of you trying something different? And if so, what did you like about it and what did you dislike?
That's a good question. First of all, I think it's really funny when you guys say that we're like the lore server, because I really don't think of it as that lore heavy. Maybe it does appear that way from the outside. If you guys are really more like straight cut, I play the game, I'm very much in the game. We definitely do get more into character and pretend to be a person that we're not. But it is a very silly version of lore. I can't even take myself seriously sometimes when people call it lore, because there's not much sort of thought going on before it exits my brain, leaves my brain and comes out my mouth. Like I'm not pre-planning anything really. I'm just saying it off the cuff, and then that makes it canon. And a lot of it doesn't make any sense, to be honest. So yeah, but it is really funny, and it's something that, even though it is come up with on the fly most of the time, and it's very silly, the audience does love to get on board with it with us, and they run with it as well. And I think the Empire's crew are all really great at taking an idea, no matter how silly it is, and just running with it as if it's normal, that Jimmy is like a 2 foot tall little cowboy toy, even though that's just a ridiculous concept. And I'm like secretly a cat, but everybody knows. And then all my villagers are foxes that walk on 2 legs, or frogs that are walking around in a village, and they all live in houses. I think just pretending that that's normal is a part of the bit. What was the question? Like something about lore?
Well, I just want to get your thoughts on it. What you liked, what you disliked about it. If there was is there any downfalls to having to play a quote unquote character in the series?
I think for me, it makes it a lot easier to like I said earlier, I really like to do things in a distinct way for each SMP, and it gives me, if I have a character that maybe has different motivations from previously, then I really have a different approach to doing different things. Like in Empire Season 1, I was the Ocean Queen, and I really wanted to have the best empire, and I wanted to sort of be more on top of, I'm trying to like boost the tourist industry. I'm trying to make sure the economy is stable, and all these kind of, like, I'm trying to be a ruler. That was the approach from Season 1. And then in Season 2, it was more of like a goofy, like, I just want to make sure all the animals are included. And so that was my approach, was to go from one animal to the next. And I didn't really care so much for politics and the economy. It just gave me a real jumping off point to play the game in a really different way. Just even though the 2 seasons are a very similar concept from the offset, just having a completely different character for each one automatically made it a completely different style of playing. So that made it really easy to make something unique for a new season. The downsides, I would say, though, is that there's a lot going on. I'm sure you felt this when you arrived on that first day.
I was overwhelmed, to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on with your own story. There's a lot going on with other people's stories and how they all intersect with each other. And, you know, if somebody in their head has delusions of grandeur, like Joel, and thinks he is the best ruler, the most powerful, the most handsome, and, you know, somebody on the other side of the world actually thinks that they're the most powerful, then, you know, how does that intersect? And if you have a good group of role players and a good group of people that are all friends and, you know, there's good communication there, that could be a cool plot point that you both think you're really powerful.
Yeah.
But it also equally could cause a problem where somebody says, you know, well, this doesn't work with my law. I'm supposed to be the most powerful. So that could cause issues if you aren't communicating properly and if you aren't maybe willing to go with it and make a good story out of it.
Yeah, it keeps it to me. It keeps you on your toes and keeps it interesting. And because I'm also like you, and I get bored very easily. So having a different dynamic or different angle. I mean, this is my first season on Hermitcraft. I already have 3 characters somehow. I've got normal Skizz, Popo Skizz, and lawyer Skizz. And
Popo Skizz and lawyer Skizz have the same accent, though.
But they're a little different, okay? Popo Skizz is a little bit rougher.
Well, they're both in sort of law, so it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hold on. Lizzie once said that her favorite accent was American, and when she did the accent, it very much sounded like your Southern draw lawyer.
The lawyer
accent.
one, right? Yeah, the lawyer.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot, Lizzie, and make you do it again. But I did come across a video of yours where you attempted an American accent. That's what you went with.
Oh yeah, you have to go really you have to ham it up for the American accent. So I can only imagine what this character sounds like.
God, yeah, because I don't do accents very well, but I leaned into those 2 characters, and they are very similar. But my point being that it was really having like 3 separate like storylines, because I just get so get so bored so fast at everything, and I end up starting projects and not finishing them. In fact, when I take a peek at your channel, I see that it's not like Minecraft is the only thing on there. Yes, you started the Call of Duty, but you also did a lot of. Are you into horror? Do you like horror games and movies?
You know what? I used to be. I used to be very into horror, but now I find that the only reason I don't play it is that the games are really dark and ugly, which I'm just not a fan of for the purposes of producing videos. But I do love horror. Yeah, that was one of my big things on my channel when I first started.
Yeah.
It was like the indie horror games, Amnesia. Penumbra, I think it was called, like Outlast. I loved all those. I'm a big horror fan. Yeah,
Have you played
which you wouldn't
Phasmophobia?
think because of the pink, but
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
I played it with Jimmy though, and Grian and Joel. And do you know, I don't think we've ever been successful. I don't think we've successfully found a single spirit. Like we're just running around. I don't know what I'm doing in that game. So I know, is it you guys that play it?
Yeah.
Somebody on the Hermitcraft server I know has a really good squad for it. So I might have to watch that and get some tips. To be honest.
We do. We try to do it once a week or so. Me, Skizz, Grian, and either Gem or Scar, depending on which one can make it. And yeah, we've played enough to where we've gotten pretty good. We've gotten pretty good at the game. And you know, that's one thing I hadn't really thought of though, was like, you're right, the game is very dark. And when I first started playing the game, I would never turn on lights in the house. And now it is like literally the first thing we do is go through the house and turn all the lights on and make sure the breaker's on, because you're right. Like you kind of like it. I never like actually thought of that, why I was doing that. But I think in reality, in the back of my head, I knew, oh, this is going to be much easier and better to watch. There's a game mechanic that makes sense to do it as well.
At the end of the day, we're putting a show together, and so they need to be able to see it. Yeah,
it's helpful if people can see what we're
looking at. Yeah.
Right.
Did you?
I think.
No,
oh, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Skizz mentioned as well, when he's recording, he's thinking about the editing. And that's also in my mind, I'm thinking about the editing. So when there's a really dark moment in a game, all I can think about is, how am I going to edit this?
Yes.
How am I going to bump up the contrast? How am I going to fix this? So, you know, if I'm stood talking in a cave with somebody that's a little bit dark, I'll like scoot over and place a torch behind us for some ambient lighting.
Smart.
Because you just got to think about that kind of stuff if you care about how the video looks. I think that it's important like it's really hard to overlook once you notice things like that. So
Yeah.
I kind of stopped playing horror games for that reason, to be honest.
No, I agree. When the deep dark first became a thing in Minecraft, I was doing a solo Skizz snapshot whatever series back then. And when I got into the second I walked into the deep dark, I'm all, how am I supposed to make a video out of this?
Yeah.
And so I made a
bad.
bit out of it so that I raised the gamma in post, and it looks terrible. Like it brought it up, but it's just so unnatural and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
You never played Little Nightmares? I was surprised. I was going through your catalog. I never saw that game.
No,
was...
I don't know that one.
Oh goodness me!
What year is that?
Well, there's two versions. I only did the second one, and that was about 2 years ago. So the first one must have come out within the last 5 to 7 years, I'd say. Yeah, don't quote me on that. But when I was looking, I was like, oh, she does the horror games. And I'm like, Little Nightmares is 100% going to be on here. And I'm like,
No.
there's not on here. Yeah, right up your alley. Like if you wanted to try something new, and I'll give you this, as dark as it is from a storyline standpoint, it's actually an extraordinarily beautiful game. Like the artistry in it is ridiculous, but I did it on stream, and I am going to tell you right now, I could not wait for that game to be over because I was so uncomfortable playing it the whole time because it was that good. Like it got me, and it doesn't get everybody. I don't. Do you like? Tell me, Lizzie. Do you like horror films?
Yeah, I like horror films. Yeah.
See, I don't.
Wait.
I can't sleep.
Are you allowed to watch them with Joel in the room?
Joel is definitely more scared than I am. He's a little jumpier, but I've seen worse. I've seen people that are worse at horror movies than Joel is.
Okay,
So,
yeah, because I caught a clip of Joel playing a horror game, and he was scared out of his mind. And I'm like, would he even sit in a room with you if you were watching a horror movie? He just seems so jumpy, like you said.
Well, he has a lot of he'll have the pillow, and maybe we'll have a light on to make him feel a bit more comfortable. I think it's all about your surroundings when you're playing horror, and just knowing in your mind that you are actually in a safe space and this is not happening to you.
Yeah.
I think I'm really able to separate myself from what's happening on the screen from what's happening to me. I think that's the only reason I'm able to enjoy them. I'd say it's harder with games though. I think games are more scary because you are in control.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you're being chased, I get the feeling that something's on my back. I get an
Yes.
uncomfortable feeling.
You're correct.
But when I'm watching a horror movie, I don't get that because it's not happening to me. It's
Yeah.
happening to that character.
Dude, Lizzie, check out Little Nightmares.
Uh-oh.
You got to trust because
This is gonna get me this game.
they do so good at just creating that tension, and like you said, you're in control. And it's a left to right game. It's not. It's like, you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you wouldn't think it would be.
You wouldn't think it'd be that immersive.
And it
then.
is, and it
Interesting.
absolutely is, dude. I think they might have a little bit of north and south, but it is. Just trust me on this. When I was playing it, I'm like, I need to beat this game and it be done with because it is freaking me out.
Well, yeah, you didn't sell that very well then.
No, but she likes that.
This is over soon.
Yeah.
I would like now that you've mentioned it. I feel like I have to do it as an accomplishment that I can prove that I can get through this game now. So maybe I will have to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of my videos are unlisted, so I don't know what is up there and what isn't up there anymore. I played Limbo, which was probably not as scary as Little Nightmares, but similarly,
Similar.
a platformer where you're going left to right.
That was a great game. That was another.
That was a good game.
That was another good game that was dark and its artistry was really beautiful. Limbo was very clever, and it did have those sort of jump scares, like when that bear trap would catch you or whatever.
Yeah.
Things like that. So Little Nightmares has that, but it takes it to a very different, more human level. You just kind of have to trust me, but yeah, it's really dark. But you also have a second channel that I think it's called more LDShadowLady?
Yeah, just more of it. Just more of the same.
Yeah, just more of the same. There's only a handful of videos on there, but somehow you've still crushed 700,000 subscribers on that. Is this, and I'm just gonna, you could tell me to edit this out later. Is that channel an example of classic Lizzie starting something and just not and stopping it? Yeah.
I'd say a little bit, yes. I'd say partly that me being oh yeah, I want to do some vlogs, and then starting it, trying it, and realizing that that's not really the kind of content that I wanted to share. I've obviously left little bits up there that from the past that I'm happy to leave up there, but I would say vlogging is just not not the kind of content that I enjoy making. So I've kind of left that channel alone. But I left it up as a sort of historic archive, and it has garnered quite a few subscribers over time. I don't know if they're hoping that I'm going to be uploading more, because I'm probably not. Yeah.
but maybe. So the door's
Yeah,
out.
maybe.
I was gonna say that's surprising, because I think like the second most popular video on your main channel is actually more of a vlog style. I think you were checking out like apps, iPhone apps where you have different filters, and like that I saw that was like I think the second most viewed video on your channel, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that you did more than gaming, but that popped up. And so was that around the same time you decided, oh well, this maybe could be a thing, and didn't maybe fit the main channel, and that's why you created your second channel? Or like where'd that come from?
I'd say the more LDShadowLady channel was definitely more of a follow me around in life kind of vlogging, which I didn't think would fit on the main channel. It probably would have, to be honest, but I didn't want to mix the two worlds too much, because I know people that love vlogs don't necessarily love gaming. There's some crossover, but not a lot. But on the main channel, I used to do a lot of pieces like this to the camera, and then I'd be playing a game in my hands on my phone, because there were a lot more fun app games, I think, in the sort of early 2010s. There was a lot more unique games. It felt like at the time there was these silly, goofy games, and it was really easy to pick one up and just kind of react to it for a few hours, and you'd have something funny, some fun footage from that. But now I don't really do a lot of webcam. Like I said, I stole Joel's setup. I didn't say it on the thing, but yeah, I stole Joel's setup for this entire thing, because I don't usually have this set up, because I only do voice over Minecraft at the minute, and that has been my bread and butter for about 5 or 6 years. I really haven't gone outside of that very much. I've really found what I enjoy doing and what I think works well for me as a formula, and I've just been doing that because I enjoy doing it. I'm not experimenting as much with the video styles lately, because I feel like I've run out of experiments perhaps to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, so you, like you said, you've mainly been doing just focusing on your YouTube Minecraft content, not even really doing face cam or anything like that. But in the past, had you experimented with streaming? And did you do face cam for those?
I did have a little Twitch streamer era during the pandemic. During that time when we were all locked inside our homes, I also was locked inside my home and wasn't able to do, all the crazy side quests that I would normally be doing. So I took up streaming as a way to keep in touch with my content creator friends, and it was really fun. It was a really good time. It was a really fun time to be streaming. I had a lot of fun with Twitch streaming, but I never wanted to make it my main gig, because I love editing. I love editing so much, and I just felt when I was streaming, there was so much either dead time or things didn't go to plan. And if I had been recording a video, I would have gone about things a lot differently, or I would have maybe redone something, but I wasn't able to do that on stream. So I definitely don't think that my style is compatible with streaming as much as it is with video making. It's still fun, but it's a very different style of content. And I respect anyone that can be entertaining and doesn't have to edit themselves for 3 or 4 hours, because that is not me. I had so many technical blips.
I know exactly what you mean about like feeling different about making videos while streaming. Skizz is really good at it. I'm terrible at it, because I feel the same way. It's like every time I'm live, I feel like if I wasn't live in front of all these people, I would have done that. I would have said things differently. I just feel like this extra bit of pressure being live that just gives me a little anxiety or something, to where I didn't deliver the line or the action as well as I would have done if I was just not off camera, but you know what I mean, not live in front of people. So I'm definitely with you on that, and it's been a bit of a struggle trying to find that vibe for me to make it work.
Yeah, once you do, it's very freeing, because especially when we're limited on time. I need to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah. So it's I had to kind of get that skill set. Hey, I'm gonna cut us off. There's so much more. There's so much more I want to talk.
I didn't even talk to Lizzie about her early days in MCC. All right,
Yeah,
fine.
we could do that. We're gonna cut it off here. If you could stick around, let's do a part 2. It was every time we start one of these, we never know if there's going to be 2, 3 parts, 1 part. It never matters. It's whatever organic. When we were about 25 minutes in, I'm all, this is going great, and there's a lot more to talk about. So let's all take a quick break and come on back, and we'll see you next week.
We'll learn more about Lizzie.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey all, thank you for watching. Have you ever wanted to see a little more behind the scenes of the Imp and Skizz podcast? Well, what you might not know is that before every recording session, we do a private pre-show over at glimpse.me/Imp&Skizz. Here, you get to chat with us live, offer insightful questions if we're going to have a guest, and, well, let's face it, maybe help us out a little bit with some real-time feedback on audio, lighting, stuff like that. Additionally, you'll be added to the Imp and Skizz Discord community where you'll be kept up to speed on what's to come. Head on over to glimpse.me/Imp&Skizz and check it out. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.